Hey everyone, and welcome to the Shared Cup Podcast. This is episode 22, and today my guest, Jennie Hays, shares her story of infertility, and through the process, God revealed to her a health issue that would not only change her life, it would change the lives of countless women. Jennie shares the answer that God led her to, and the steps you can take if you are dealing with the same thing. I'm Allison Liddick, and this podcast is for women who want to experience the overflowing love of Jesus Christ through our own stories. We pray that you are blessed by this message. Hello, and welcome to the Shared Cup Podcast. I am your host, Allison Liddick, and today my guest is Jennie Hays. Jennie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. You do great work, great ministry.
Oh, thank you, Jennie. I am so glad that you are on. We have had the pleasure of speaking before this, so I appreciate you stepping out and your willingness to share your story with our audience today.
Thank you.
So I definitely want to make sure that you have plenty of time to share your story on this podcast episode. But before we dive into that, I always want our audience to get the opportunity to know our guests. So Jennie, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do for fun, or anything else you feel led to share with us?
Well, I am very blessed to have been married for the last 10 years to my best friend in the world, with 3 beautiful stepchildren and 2 relatively new grandbabies that I celebrate on a regular basis. I adore them. I worked as a paramedic for about 10 years in 911 and been in the hospitals and in the doctor's clinics. And it's been a very interesting career. It's been a very interesting, eye-opening life. I've gotten to see people at their worst and at their best, and I think that has really shaped who I am. My husband and I love to go fishing together. That's our biggest pastime. That and just sitting outside by the barbecue grill and enjoying the breeze in our brand new home. So we just moved to this tiny little place called Moulton, Texas. It's literally 6 streets wide, and in an old 1940s house. We are restoring little by little, and yeah, that's what we like to do. Is just kind of out.
That's exciting. Well, congratulations on the new home.
Thank you.
Yes, and good luck on all the restorations. I know that can be challenging yet rewarding, so enjoy every bit of that. And I'm glad you've got the grandbabies to enjoy as well. And how old are they?
Just a little over a year.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, congratulations on the grandbabies. And thank you for sharing a little bit about you. So I do want to dive into your story. And what I like to do is kind of just pass the floor to you, Jennie, and let you take it away and share whatever you feel led to share with our audience today.
All right. So really my story begins before my story begins, so to speak. Being in healthcare, you develop kind of these preset notions about people and about health and the way we take care of our bodies. And you almost become a little uppity, almost a little better than, because you watch other people, and even though you try not to. And this is the place that I kind of lived in for the 10 years I was doing 911. You see people and you think, oh, they're just not taking care of themselves. They don't care about themselves. All the while that I'm doing this, I'm going to church every Sunday and acting like I'm this perfect Christian and, the perfect human being, never putting the two together that there was a problem. And don't worry, I kind of realized that later on. So get to the point in my life where my husband and I have met, and I'm a little older, but we decide that we want to have a baby together. My daughters and son are my stepchildren. They're older. So we start not really trying to get pregnant, but we try not get pregnant.
Yeah.
And I knew I was overweight. I knew I had some health issues, but I really didn't think that it was any big deal. Again, I was sitting in that mindset of, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm better than a lot of people that are sick, and this is why. Well, I am going to the doctor, and we're talking about the fact that we've been trying now for 4 years, almost 5 years to get pregnant. Nothing's happening. And it had kind of been on the back burner, and we'd been pretty stressed. My husband's a remodeler, and we were running a business together. And so I figured between the working full time, trying to homeschool one of the girls, running his business with him, I was worship leading at that time at my church and going to school all at the same time.
That's
I figured,
a lot.
well, that's I'm not getting pregnant.
Right. That's a lot of stress. Right.
It's a lot of stress. But then I get this call from the doctor, and she's like, well, we looked at your labs, and it looks like you might have PCOS. And that was it. And she was like, okay, come take this pill, and we'll help you ovulate. And I was like, okay, but you just said I have PCOS. What is PCOS?
Right.
What PCOS is. And so being the scientific-minded person that I am, I love to research. And so that's the first thing I did is I jumped into the research, and I found out that polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is what PCOS is actually an insulin resistance disease. And the more that I dug, the more I found out that basically I was heading straight first for diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah. And at this time I was working in a clinic where my main job was to set up surgeries, mostly for diabetics who were getting their toes cut off and their feet cut off. And so I started going into panic mode. So not only did I have this strong desire to be a mother, it's like I want to do anything I can to fix that, but I also don't want to slowly lose my body parts piece by piece and end up dying from diabetes. I mean, a lot of these people that I had been so judgmental of for so many years were diabetics, and I thought they just didn't care.
Yeah.
Well, my research, as I continued on, I found that it's not that they don't care. Even the ones that are following the best advice in the world are ending up with all of these problems. Or I say best advice in the world, best advice that our medical world gives us.
Right.
So I was desperate. It was like, okay, Lord, please let them be wrong. Let there be a solution that I don't know. Let them be something. And I mean, by this time I had been in medicine for over 15 years, and I knew there was no cure for diabetes.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. So, but I also know that I don't know. And I know that God doesn't bring a passion to your heart that he can't fulfill.
Right.
So I went back to what I do best again. I started researching, and sure enough, I found that not only is there a cure for diabetes, pre-diabetes and diabetes to a point, but that it's been around since the time of Hippocrates.
Wow.
And yeah, and nobody teaches it. Nobody knows it. It's against the social norm. It's starting to become more mainstream now. So I jump in. It was like full force. I'm getting pregnant. At this point, the diabetes is like, okay, this will work to cure the diabetes. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. The only thing I'm concentrating on is I want a baby. I want a baby, this man that I love. And so diligently, every day, every meal, every bite in my mouth, everything I'm watching. And I'm doing well. I lost, I think it was 40 pounds within the first 2 months.
Wow.
And I was already at 300 pounds. And so 40 pounds was a huge difference. I stopped losing my hair. My asthma symptoms went away. My skin, that I had acne really badly, and that cleared up. My husband used to tease me. He said that you're actually getting younger every day. So
wow, that's awesome.
He's getting younger every day instead of older.
I thought you were going to say something bad. I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's actually really good. That was nice.
and I had so much more energy that when I came home from work, after driving, an hour and a half one way, working an 8-hour day, and then driving an hour and a half home,
Wow.
I was able to cook dinner and clean house and, work on my schoolwork. I was able to do things because I could do them. I had energy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was just insane. It was like, oh my gosh, my body's working the way it's supposed to work. And I started ovulating. So we were like, yes, this is what we need. We're going forward. We're going to be able to get pregnant. One of the good side effects of PCOS is often that the eggs are preserved. Because you don't ovulate, the chances of them still being healthy when you're a little older is higher. And so I clung on to that, and it was like, okay, God said that he's going to fill this desire in me, and I'm seeing it all come to fruition. I'm doing everything. Do you hear the problem with that statement?
Yep.
I'm doing everything. And so I continued doing everything. And sure enough, we did get pregnant December 2 years ago. And we were thrilled, absolutely thrilled. And we were having the whole family to the house for Christmas anyway. And we decided that we were going to, I'm sorry, this is where it gets a little tough.
Yeah.
We were going to buy a onesie and put it in a box and address it to the whole family and have the whole family open it under the tree. And we were so thrilled. And then a week later, I miscarried.
Oh, gosh.
And I lost it. I didn't care about what I was putting in my body anymore because my heart was breaking.
Yeah.
And it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. And my husband was crushed too. So I think that's the only thing we haven't ever really dug into in our marriage and discussed. And so I was keeping it to myself. And a couple months later, when I went in, the doctor's like, okay, we can try again. So it's like, okay, I can do this. I can jump back on. I did it before. I can make this happen again. I can do this. I can diet. I can make it happen. And I would do great until it came to pregnancy test time. And then I would lose it because it was negative.
Yeah.
And this went on for about 6 months. And I would drive to work and I would cry. And I would come home. I'd be driving and I'd cry. And I'd cry in the shower. I never wanted my husband to see me cry because I knew how devastated he was. And I didn't want to add to his pain. I was thinking about as we, during this last couple of weeks about, there was a song and I was the worship leader. So music was just essential to who I was. Yeah. It's actually essential to who I am. And Hillary Scott at that time released her song, Thy Will, which was a result of her miscarriage. And so I would play that song over and over again and just cry. But the message of that song is amazing because it brings us back to, we don't understand what's going on, but God has a plan.
Yeah.
And that we just need to keep going forward. So I kept going forward. And we got to the point where the girls called, both of them within 2 months of each other, and said that they were both pregnant. And my husband and I kind of looked at each other and it was like, okay, we're getting ready to be grandparents. It's time to quit trying to be parents.
It's hard.
And it was difficult. And I have to say that secretly there's always that little hope. It's like, well, something might still happen. But I've found that the hole in my heart is filled when I'm holding those babies. And so, God fulfills that, but we don't always know how. And the fulfillment of that was a big piece in figuring out the health too, because it was not until somebody brought it to my attention, because of course, even in the depths of all this, when I am just completely off the rails and not taking care of my body, my instinct is to help other people. And so while I was at work, while I was at the grocery store, wherever I was, if someone even mentioned that they were having health problems, I'm turning around and saying, hey, you've got to check this out. This is a wonderful thing. It, not only does it reverse your diabetes or prediabetes, but it can help with MS, it can help with your asthma, it can help with arthritis, it can help with all these other things, and even cancers. And, so I would get into these deep conversations about how it worked, and then I would go research more, so I had even more information. And I had all this information sitting there and no heart to do anything with it for me. And when I had one of my patients who I wasn't supposed to share with, but did, came back later to me and said, you changed my life. It was like, that's it. That's what this journey is about. This journey was about saving my life. I filled the hole, I filled the need, but if I hadn't gone through all of this, I would be so sick by now.
Yeah. And
this dream of a life that I have now, I would never get to actually participate in. And the fact that now I get to share that with other women, it's like it was like God said, okay, you came through the yuck so that I can give you the happy.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not the best way to say it, but I mean, there's a lot of times in life that life really sucks. But if we look and if we study and if we pay attention, we'll find that while he didn't put us in the situation, I thoroughly believe that disease and the evil in this world is a result of the fallen world. I don't think God does bad things to you, but I think he can use those bad things to do glory for himself. And this was my fulfillment for this one. And I say this one because I've seen it multiple times in my life, but when you're in the depths of it, you don't see it. And
Right.
you had asked me earlier about what verse comes to mind. And I have to tell you that it's the same verse that I've been telling myself since I was 12 years old when I accepted Christ. And it's Hebrews 1:11, as faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. It's not that if you have faith, God is going to give you what you want. It's that if you have faith, God is going to give you what you need.
Yes.
And he has proved that to me time and time and time again. And yeah, I'm blessed for the tears.
Wow. Amen. What a journey. So God was revealing things to you that you dug into. So you didn't just have them revealed and said, I'm not really going to look into that, but thanks. You dug in and did your research, which true faith is action. So I think you were a great example of that he revealed something to you, you believed, you dug in, you took the action to do that. And then even though, your story did not turn out like you would have wanted it to, like you said, that hole or that want for the babies, you got two, right?
Yes.
What a blessing.
Yeah. I honestly, I do believe 100% that God can just give you a word and it be done. But I also am thankful that my God understands me and knows me enough to know that I'm going to do more if he makes me move forward than if I just get the word, because I don't know what to do with it.
Yes, absolutely. And I love too that he revealed to you the moment of everything that I taught you through this process, you are now able to help others. So what you went through not only helped you be healthier and have, clarity and energy to be able to even play with the grandbabies, right? But it gave you a tool or resources to truly be able to help and impact other lives outside of the I, as you were saying in your story, and pointed out where the focus was on fixing. So I love that God takes stuff like that and uses it to really propel you in a whole new direction that you would have never thought of before.
No, I at one time I had considered being a coach, and I wanted to be a joy coach. And then I went through a transition where I kind of lost my joy for a while. And I was like, how in the world can I coach women in joy? But again, it was a piece of the journey, because now I'm at so much more of a mature place in my journey and my relationship with Christ, and that I understand at even a deeper level than I did back then. And I'm able to bring that along with helping them to restore the temple so that they can celebrate their joy in the temple he gave them. I just, what an amazing gift.
Right. So I do want to ask, what would be some advice, really two questions in one, that you have for someone that is trying to conceive, that is having troubles or that has gone through miscarriage? And then also if, another similar layer would be if they have PCOS like you did as well. What would be some advice that you would have to women going through that right now?
That's really three different questions in my mind. So,
okay, yes, you're right. It is three questions.
if you're trying to conceive and you're having problems, if it's been more than 6 months to a year off the pill and you're having regular sex, find out now. Don't wait. Don't wait until life is more convenient. We were so overwhelmed with what was going on in our lives that we thought, well, it's just not happening because of stress. That wasn't the problem. Even if you decide to put it off a little bit, it's better to know what you're dealing with, because if I had started 4 years earlier, we probably would have gotten pregnant.
Okay.
For women who are dealing with miscarriage, cry. You're not alone. There are other women out there. There are more women who've had miscarriages than you can even imagine, but it's such a shameful thing, and we blame ourselves. And we shouldn't. I reach out to another woman, reach out to another godly woman who can hold you and hold your hand. I'm not sure about other churches. I know the Methodist Church, we have the Stephen ministry, and I got involved in that right around that time, because the way that I heal is to give to others. And so maybe that's another good suggestion, is that if you can't do for yourself, do for somebody else in that moment.
That's good.
And then PCOS, realized that about 95% of women who suffer with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and the symptoms of that, things to watch for, things, weight around the middle of your waist, the acne I talked about, your hair falling out. I used to shed like a dog in the summertime.
Yeah.
Whiskers on the chin, skin tags. These are all signs, irregular periods, no periods, things like that. 95, I don't remember the exact, it was 95%, I think, are insulin based.
Oh, wow.
Insulin resistance is reversible. It will, not only can it improve your chances of becoming pregnant, assuming you're not 47 years old, and even then sometimes, to reverse that insulin resistance, but it can save your life. Because like I said, you're heading for diabetes, you're heading for your feet cut off, your eyes, you're going to go blind. There's heart problems, heart disease, heart attacks. Heart attacks are 6 times more likely in a woman who's had insulin resistance. And I think it's 2 to 3 times more likely to die.
Wow.
From that heart attack. This is about your life. This is not just about the baby, but my goodness, the baby's a great reason to do it too.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. And so tell me, during all of everything that you went through and everything that you learned, what is something that God revealed about Jennie? What did you learn about yourself?
It's a lesson that I keep having to relearn. I can't do it all. I can't do it all. I want to be so self-sufficient, and that I'm stronger when I'm on my knees. And I know people said that before, but it's a reality. And if we stop, even with my business today, listening to these other women that are growing in their Christian businesses, was like, if you're not on your knees, you're never going to get anywhere.
Right. That's so good. So since you brought it up, I would love for you to share your business today. So tell us what you're up to now.
So I am a coach, and I'll just give you my I statement. I empower pre-diabetic Christian women to regain their health and regain their youthful energy so they can live abundant and fruitful lives. The way that I do this is through a mixing of coaching and education on how to feed our bodies, how to feed our minds. I was quite shocked that there aren't more programs out there for mindset that are Christ-based.
Right.
And
yes.
I actually went through a really great program that I really enjoyed. And when I sat down and looked at his program, it was like, wait a minute, this corresponds to this verse here, and this corresponds to this verse here. There are a lot of people in this world that consider mindset to be, for lack of a better term, woo.
Right.
And not biblically based. But God told us that we're supposed to be thinking about Him.
Right.
We're supposed to focus on the good, the joyful. We're supposed to be wise. We're supposed to do all of these things to enrich our minds, to make them work better, not just in our spiritual time, but by bringing that health into our spirit, it helps to bring health into our bodies.
Yes.
And so I have the amazing opportunity to try to lace these together for women. And so my business is called Jennies Health Solutions. The business itself is relatively new. The coaching and the teaching is not. am in the process of developing my master classes right now to go along with the coaching. I love it when women are looking for that extra bit, that accountability, that partnership to get them where they really want to go. I mean, there's so much on the internet nowadays about everything, but if you don't know what you're doing and if you don't know how to do it, and then you don't have that accountability, and then if you leave your faith out of it,
Yes.
you might get some success for a while, kind of like I did. I had some success for a while, but I wasn't tapping into my strongest ally. I wasn't tapping into the strength. And when I did that, all of a sudden the light bulb went off and everything changed. And so I get to share that with women, and that's what I do. You can find me at jenniehays.com, and that's JennieHays. I always say I spell it the right way.
Yes.
And then I'm on Facebook, also under Jennie's Health Solutions.
Okay.
It's been an amazing journey. It went from just kind of helping people now and then, doing phone calls, to actually taking them through a 3-month program where we do the spiritual mindset and the diet and lifestyle, and watch those become integrated. They lose lots of weight, they gain lots of energy, and they just get healthy. It's just so much fun.
Wow. Oh my gosh. This is so exciting. I hate the bad parts of your story, but God truly did use them. And what you mentioned, like, did he bring it? I believe not. But did he use it? Absolutely. At such an extreme level. Like, not only do you have the 2 grandbabies, you're healthier, and you are changing the lives of women. I mean, and probably their families, because us women, when we find something that works, we're going to let everybody else know and teach our families too. So that's so wonderful that you are doing that, and so exciting that if you hadn't have gone through that process, you would not have this business. And now look at the impact that you get to have today.
Yeah, it's an amazing blessing. And yes, I agree that when we learn something, we share it, because of course the first person that I helped was my husband. And I realize he's not a woman, but
Right, sure. Men can do it too.
Yeah. And the kids are always teasing me. Everything you tell us now is so different than what you used to teach us. It's like, yes, I know, but believe me now, not then.
Right. You had a transforming of the mind, which the Holy Spirit he does it. That's just what he does. But it takes us taking that action, which, again, back to you digging in and doing the stuff and teaching people. That is you acting out on your faith and using what God gave you wisely. You're not holding it to yourself, like the story of the guy that buried the money in the ground instead of investing. You are investing in other people. So congratulations on your business. I know you're going to do great things. And can you say your website again in case anybody missed it?
So my website is jenniehays.com, and that's JennieHays.com.
Perfect. Thank you. And so if anyone wanted to reach out to you to talk about trying to conceive, PCOS, or if they've gone through a miscarriage, just to have someone to talk through or to, is that something they can reach out to you about as well?
So I'm certainly there for you. The way to reach out to me best is to either go to my website, and you'll see a page there that links you to a call.
Oh, okay, good.
Call me and we can talk. Or you can come on over to Facebook and message me there. And I'm happy to spend some time with you. And I'm happy to spend the first, 45 minutes to an hour on my dime, because sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you need a program. I'd love to sell you a program, but that's not the reality.
Right.
The reality is that I want to be here as another woman of God for you too.
Yes, that's very generous. Thank you so much. And I love too what you said about there's not a lot of Christian mindset programs out there, and that connect mindset with your physical health. Like, I don't know if I've seen that at all, to be honest. So I'm glad that you are bringing that full circle and bringing that together, and that God gave you that revelation and gave you the resources to be able to do that, because that is a huge need and a very large gap in the industry today. So thank you for stepping in to fill that.
Well, thank you. It's like I said, it's my blessing to be able to do that.
Yes. Don't you love how God works? I mean, you
Yeah.
get to do something that is energizing and making a huge impact today. Not that you weren't before, not saying that, but it's
Yeah.
like your purpose, right? I can feel the passion when you talk about it.
Yeah. I always have enjoyed my work before, but it was still work. And
Yeah.
This is not work. This is a ministry. This is,
Yes.
like you said, it's my heart.
Yeah. Yes, I can feel it for sure. Well, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for sharing your story with us as well and being vulnerable and open with our audience. Is there anything else you want to share before we call this episode a wrap?
No, I'm just grateful for this opportunity to share my story. It was a hard journey getting there, but it was a hard journey putting it together too. And even though I can see it, there's something magic in sharing it. So I encourage other women. I know Allison is always needing good, strong Christian women to come on the podcast. I encourage you to take the time and write your story and figure out how to tell your story and share it, because there might just be one person who can benefit. And wow, I don't even know what else to say. Wow.
Yes, well said. Thank you so much. You're right. If one person benefits, it's all worth it, stepping out and sharing. And God gave us stories for a reason, not just to change our lives, but people are changed by the word of our testimony, through the blood of the Lamb, and the word of our testimony is what his word says. And I truly believe that. So Jennie, thank you. I know it's not always easy coming on and being vulnerable and sharing, but thank you for being obedient. Thank you for stepping out and sharing your story with our audience today.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity to share. And I hope that this blesses somebody somewhere, because I know it blessed me.
Absolutely. I'm sure it will. Thank you again. And to all of our listeners, make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment for Jennie, and let her know that you appreciate her sharing today. And make sure you tune in next Thursday at 9 a.m. for another episode of the Shared Cup podcast. But Jennie, thank you again for sharing today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for the Shared Cup podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember that each one of us has a story that shows the overflowing love of God. If you want to be a guest on our podcast, put a comment below and we'll send you the link to apply. Have a blessed day, and thank you so much for joining us.